You mean start in the morning or?
Sure, start in the morning.
It was just a regular morning. Maggie was leaving to go out of town. She was going to a doctor's appointment, and she had some stuff to do at Edista, where she was having some work done on our house at Edista. But Maggie was there that morning. She went to leave, and she told me she was doing these things. I always asked Maggie to come back home and stay with me. But anyway, Maggie had left. She did her thing. I went to work, did work. I learned from Paul that...
Who's Paul?
That's Paul, my son Paul Murdaugh.
And your name for him was Paul?
Yeah, we called him Paul.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
And Buster, Maggie, I called him Paul or Paul Terry, but Mags called him Paul, Buster called him Paul. A lot of people called him Paul. But anyway, I learned about I had known that CB, the guy that worked for us, had sprayed the sunflowers. I knew about that, but I'd been out of town. I didn't know they were dead. Paul let me know they had died. So we had to replant the dove field. That's our dove field, which the dove field is just a big social part of having property. People would come, and it's just a social big part of it. So the dove field was a big deal. So when the sunflowers got killed, we knew they were dead. Paul was coming home, and I learned that early Monday morning.
And and we'll catch back up, but at some point in time, did you meet up with Paul?
Yeah, after work, I met Paul at the property.
And we're going to backfill and talk about more of the day, but I just want to focus in on that evening right now.
Okay.
When Paul gets to the property, what do y'all do?
First thing we do is we go to the dove field, and we look at the dove field. And
how'd you get to the dove field?
He had come in my brother's truck. We got in my son Buster's black pickup truck. We called it Buster's truck, or the black pickup truck. You've heard it called too, but I call it Buster's truck.
Okay, so you're in Buster's truck, and you go to the dove field. Tell the jury what else.
Well, that's the first thing we do. We go to the dove field and we look, and it was clearly it didn't. You could tell they were. You could tell they'd been sprayed, and you could tell they were dead. They might have still had a tiny bit of life, but they were dead. So we knew that. So we knew we had to replant the whole field. So that didn't take but a second. But after that, Paul. We just rode the property. We spent time together. We rode around and we spent time together on the property.
Did you go to the duck pond?
Oh yeah, we went to several food plots. We went to Single Oak Stand, we called it, which is across the road. I know we went to the Bridge Stand. We went to the duck pond where we stayed for a minute, and
did you?
I can remember the duck pond specifically because I had helped Paul plant the dove field and the corn in the dove field. So sunflowers, corn, and I had helped him plant the corn in the dove field. Paul had planted the duck pond by himself, and he's making a really big deal to me about how much better the corn was doing in the duck pond than it was in the dove field. We stayed there for a little while. We rode. We were at the cabin for a little while. We rode around the cabin looking at it.
Now, cabin is what?
That's It's just a little small. It's truly a cabin. It's a 4-room structure. It's got a little living area, a little kitchen, and it's got 2 little bedrooms and 1 little bathroom. And that's what you've heard talk about, where the kids stayed some summers. And
is that what the jury's seen? Some overhead pictures. It's right there on Moselle Road.
Yeah, it's right up on Moselle Road, and it's very close to the driveway that goes to the shop and the kennels.
Did you spend any time at the shop, you think?
Oh, yes. I mean, the shop was, that was sort of the hub. That was the main place. If you weren't at the house, you might be out going to this field or this food plot or this duck pond or this part of the river, but the shop is where the kennels were located. That was, you were always there. Something was always going on there. You're always doing something there. That's where all the tools were. That's where all the equipment was kept. That was the main hub.
Right.
And so we were there that day. There was a point in time where we unloaded a bulldozer that had been on a different part of the property. It was on a trailer. We unloaded it and sprayed it down real quick. That was just one of the many things we did that day.
One of the things the jury's seen, Alec, is a Snapchat video of you and doing something with a tree. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
And so what was happening there?
That's just part of when we were riding. That particular location where that was is at a food plot that we called Sawtooth Oaks, and it was named that because there were some Sawtooth Oaks that were planted there that you can't see in the picture. But what that tree is, at all these food plots, there's an area where it's not as big as a field, but it's like a field where you plant vegetation for wildlife. Like it might be cowpeas or soybeans, but you plant, and then there's a feeder to attract deer. Then we planted these little fruit trees on these stands, and what you see me doing is fooling with a fruit tree that I'd been tending to. It had fallen over. I had straps on it. I had strings on it that were holding it up. One of the strings popped. I undid the other string, and it was falling over, and Pawpaw was laughing at me trying to get it back upright. And it was just a fruit tree that I'd been dealing with for years, and it wouldn't stand up straight.
And were you and Paul having a good time at that point?
You could not be around Pawpaw You could not be around him and not have a good time.
Were you close to Paul?
You couldn't be any closer than Pawpaw and I and Buster and I were and are. He's just wonderful. Wonderful.
And it's one of the things you enjoyed doing together was just riding the property?
I love doing anything with Pawpaw. It was an absolute delight. But yeah, one of the things, Paul's passion. Paul was passionate about a lot of things, but that property was really a passion of his. He loved to work it. He loved to work the fields. He loved to work the food plots. He loved to hunt. He'd work on the roads. He would work on all of it. He would work on the structure. He worked on the whole property.